Thursday evening. So having arrived physically, inclining the mind towards arriving mentally, emotionally, spiritually, arriving into this place of being, simply being here, being now, being calmly aware in this present moment, an opportune moment, ripe with opportunity, and especially the opportunity to be present with calm alertness, mindful attention, a dedicated focus and commitment to simply sitting, being and knowing rather than doing and thinking, giving our brain mind a break from the doing and thinking, engaging the mode of simply being and knowing, and particularly noticing and knowing the present moment through our connection to each soothing, therapeutic breath, setting up the right attitude, right approach, right perspective for the meditation. Meditation as an opportunity to relax into the present, this place and point of existence that we often spend too little time mentally abiding in or abiding from. So setting up this space for ease, contentment, joy, and well-being. The ease, joy, and well-being that comes from a calm, clear mind, enabling some inner stillness, silence, and spaciousness. So initially having that deep, relaxing, letting go breath, breathing out any stress, tension that might have been building in our body over the happening of the day, the happenings, the comings and goings and doings, breathing out any residue stress, feeling into the body with awareness, letting go of roles and responsibilities, the need to engage the activity of thinking, and just sensing and feeling the body sitting, this foundation of mindfulness, mindfulness of the body, noticing a few points or places of contact, feeling the feet connecting with the floor, contact sensation, feet against the floor. And bringing our awareness up to sense and feel the touch of our body connecting with the chair, the cushion, meditation stool, sensing that particular sensation, feeling. Then moving awareness up to the hands and fingers resting in our lap, making sure they feel comfortable, adjusting them if we need to, and sensing that contact sensation of hands and fingers. A warmth or coolness, softness or moistness, sensation of our skin, the hands and fingers, or even the fabric of our clothes against the hands and fingers. Relaxing the abdomen belly area, whilst also then bringing awareness up to our face. Noticing our face, maybe subtle sensations of the air connecting with our face. As we refine our awareness, noticing subtle light coming in through the closed eyelids, perception of lightness, brightness, color, patterning, or just a blankness. And even looking into that lightness, brightness, blankness through the closed eyelids. A few background sounds, but not being distracted by them. And particularly not being distracted by any thoughts that arise in the mind as a mental sight or mental sound, but rather consciously choosing to focus our mind's attention in the present by connecting with the natural occurrence, the neutral occurrence of each soothing breath. Wherever we might feel the breath the most, maybe the nose or nostril area, directing attention, sustaining attention, allowing the inflow, outflow of each naturally occurring breath. Developing this calm attention, this focus leading to mental collectedness, composure, and concentration. Allowing some inner calm ease as we feel each ongoing breath. Tea and biscuits. Can we hear the frogs? It's quite loud. Frogs in the dam down below.
They're a lot louder last week.
Louder last week.
Yeah.
Oh. Maybe they're singing because it's going to rain.
Mm.
So, in the context of self-reflection, reflecting on the self and sensing and feeling how the self is actually feeling. Certainly for myself, I've noticed at times there can be a particular mood and then the feeling of the mood. So moods have a different sort of feeling depending upon what the mood is. Underlying sort of mood with a certain feeling, which could be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Buddha said the three major feelings that everything falls into: pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And noticing then that um, from that mood, there may also then be a particular mind state or mental state that we can note. So that mood's coming from this particular mental state. And the mood is maybe more of a general feeling, mind, body feeling, sense of being. And there's a particular mind state that is is sort of contributing to that particular mood, mind state, mental state, and then even noticing particular thoughts that are feeding, fueling, forming that mental state into the even emotion or feeling or mood that's occurring. And certainly we can just be objective to that and go, okay, just noticing that, seeing that, sensing that, feeling that, or potentially change that mood, feeling, emotion, mental state by particularly engaging the thoughts, doing something with those thoughts. So we don't always have to put up with something that is. We can be patient with it, we can be aware of it, we can be accommodating, or we can choose to modify it to something that's maybe more healthy, more wholesome, more skillful, more worthwhile, which is certainly the beauty of the Buddha's teachings. It's about not putting up with things, but being able to modify in a way that helps our psycho-spiritual domain and dimension to develop, to be enhanced, to grow, to evolve beyond the default norm, which may be in terms of mood affected by just what's happening. So being able to be attentive to where a particular mood and feeling state is coming from in terms of the mind. And this is where we can even see, well, even the mind state and the thoughts, are they within the context of a particular view or perspective or take on things that I'm having? And here the view is more than just a view. It can be even just a general mindset, a general approach, a general sort of view on life that we may have, that may have been conditioned through our upbringing, parents, siblings, school teachers, religious organizations, so forth, advertising, social media. They're the big ones these days. And then even questioning that to go, okay, well, is that perspective and take, approach, attitude helpful, wholesome, skillful, or not? And then if not, can it be modified? How do I modify it? So the idea of even our perspective or perception then leads to how we then receive experience, reception. So perception creates the reception, even how we receive, and even the perception, perceiving, seeing, viewing, our take is based upon conception, conceiving, thinking, concept, percept, recept, and also then the engagement into the reception then also then feeds back into the particular thoughts we then have. So it becomes a loop. Concept, percept, recept, back into concept, percept, and flows on. So perception can be changed by the conception, conceiving. And this is again what the Buddha sort of talks about in his psychology of the human being, the psychology of the human predicament. And even as we were mentioning last week in debriefing the Vassa Retreat Day 3, that sense of looking at the fundamental view that one has, and even can condition and create a healthy, wholesome view that leads to insight, that leads to liberation. So the four truths, the four noble truths, the Arya Satya that the Buddha spoke about as a foundation, his foundation teaching, the Four Noble Truths, and we discussed those last Thursday and on the Sunday before, are there in the context of a particular view or perspective. So the Eightfold Path, which we're aware of, begins with Samaditi, right view. And it's not so much of an opinion type of view, but more of a take, a perspective. And the Buddha said, what is right view? Well, right view is an appreciation, understanding, and engagement of the Four Noble Truths. So the Four Truths being that an awareness of discomfort, dis-ease, distress, pain, suffering, the word dukkha, an awareness of that, then the appreciating what the cause of our unease, dis-ease, distress, pain, suffering might be, which basically is wanting, clinging, craving, and then perceiving then that this can end. There can be the end of this unease, distress, pain, suffering. If it's caused to be, it can be uncaused. Therefore, it can end. The Buddha used the word nirodha, extinguishing, a bit like nirvana, which means blowing out. Nirodha is the ending, the finishing, of the stress and suffering. Either in that particular situation that I'm upset, distressed, overwhelmed by something, or by full, complete enlightenment. So no more stress and suffering. And then even with the enlightened mind, when the body dies, then no more coming back into this whole cycle of samsara to repeat the whole thing again and again and again and again, Groundhog Day. And then also the fourth perception or appreciation is that there is an actual practice path, a way that leads to the ending of stress and suffering, which the Buddha said then is the Eightfold Path. So that right view, skillful view perspective is actually an appreciation, an engagement, a use of these four truths. And that's where the article, it's more than an article, the book that I sent out is putting that forth, that in the context of what appears to be the teachings in early Buddhism, teachings of the Buddha, and where in many times, many occasions, he speaks about how to view things, how to see things, and particularly using the formula of the Four Noble Truths, but it's often at times not using the word noble or Arya, but more as these are philosophical, meditative perspectives to actually approach and look at your experience. So a very practical way of looking at experience. So in a way, conditioning a particular view or perception. So often, particularly with stress and suffering, when we're aware of that, it's like, okay, I just want to sort of distract, get away from it, suppress it, avoid it, or react to it, or act out on top of it. And what does that beget? More stress and suffering. But this particular approach is about relieving, alleviating, and deconditioning and decommissioning even the neural hardware, the brain connections that are getting fired up with a particular view and approach. So modifying that. So I found it quite interesting in reading what Aviatar Schulman has written in Rethinking the Buddha, subtitled Early Buddhist Philosophy as Meditative Perception. Particularly these four truths, or four sort of ways of perceiving and experiencing our reality. A really wholesome, healthy way of approaching life to help to decondition, decommission, and to, in a way, move the mind to letting go. The general sort of view of life and the world is get more, be more, have more, do more, think more, stress more, and it doesn't work. It doesn't lead to peace and happiness and contentment. So this is a way of, in a way, letting go, relinquishing. And of course the way that that all is enabled is through the eight practice factors, the eightfold path that flows right through from how we perceive and see things, the perspective, the view that we have, into then how we think about things, how we speak about things, how we behave or act, into how we spend a lot of our time in the context of livelihood that certainly affects how we feel, who we are, into putting in the right amount of effort, mindfulness, and ultimately leading into concentration, samadhi, meditation. So that right view goes all the way right through to samadhi, meditation. And then meditation, a calm, clear, collected, concentrated, composed mind, then helps to affect how we then see things. So seeing things in a more clear, concise, precise, direct, correct way, which then sort of flows, so that the whole eightfold path actually flows around, and also it even reverses back. So the more collectedness, concentration we have in samadhi meditation, that means that we are more mindful in daily life, which means we have more energy, able to put energy into the right things, right effort, right energy. But then particularly in terms of our engagement, the right wholesome, skillful engagements into life, into behaviors that we have, into speech that we have, into thoughts that we have, into how we see things. So it flows through, it flows back, and it flows around as a practice. So I find it quite skillful in what the Buddha's got here, because I think that for most of us, how we're experiencing life does come down to how we're perceiving. Even like the choices that we make, whether I'm going to take up that choice, the reception is based upon how we look at things, how we see things. And then again, how we see things is often based upon how we have been conditioned to think about things. And the thinking also then affects the perception as well. And this is where our degree of stress and suffering comes back to how we view things. And where some people might see things in a negative way, that's their particular view or take, their mindset, their schema, mental set. Other people more positive, some people unrealistic, some people very realistic. And by being more mindful, we can check in. How am I viewing this? How am I viewing this situation? Is this perspective or view causing stress and suffering, or is it a view that's going to help to relieve, reduce stress and suffering for myself? So mindfulness, and a few weeks ago I spoke about how mindfulness, the 3 G's of mindfulness that I've put together. Mindfulness is life-giving. It gives us more moments of being mindful, attentive. It's life guiding. It helps us to see things more clearly and make better decisions based upon understandings and information. It's life guarding. It protects us from thinking, saying, doing the wrong thing, having accidents, causing ourselves stress, affecting our health and well-being. So mindfulness is really integral to being able to be aware and to see how we're viewing things. Often with the idea of view, I ask people, so do you have any particular views or particular perspectives? And often people say, oh, not really. But if that person asks a friend or a partner, the partner or friend might say, oh, well, you're always on about this, or you always oppose me with this. So there's a perspective or view. So it's often again, we may hear someone else's view, and then we go, oh, no, well, I don't think that at all. I don't feel like that. That's not my perception. I see things differently. So we all have these underlying views and opinions, but even more so to check in, well, what's my take, my approach, my perspective on life? Is that helping? Is that helping? And can I create and condition a helpful approach to life that is going to bring about clarity, insight, wisdom, liberation? Which again is what the what the Buddha's using these four truths for as meditative perspectives, and whether they are used as a general approach or even something quite specific in a situation. I'm stressed. Okay, so let's have a look at that. This, not just I am stressed, but there is stress. There is some pain here. So a bit of objectivity. There is acknowledging. So the first truth is to be acknowledged. Acknowledging I'm stressed. But no, I'm not stressed. I don't have any nails left or hair left, but I'm not stressed. Stomach's churning. So acknowledging the reality, the fact, stress or unease or pain or suffering or anguish, whatever it might be. And then to go, what's causing this? And we spoke about on the retreat day the four sources of stress and suffering. What I want is a source of stress and suffering. Losing what I like and love is a source of stress and suffering. Having to be with the unpleasant is a source of stress and suffering. Having to deal with the realities of this mind-body complex, stress and suffering. Which, as the Buddha said, basically the second truth, the cause of stress and suffering is clinging, is wanting. Wanting what we don't have, or wanting to not have what we've got. I don't want this. I want to not have this. Or I want this situation not to be happening. Or I want this brain and body, this mind and body to be different. So wanting. Say, I'm upset, I'm distressed because I'm wanting something other than what is. I'm wanting something different, which may be quite valid, but it's the clinging, it's the attachment that causes the problem. Because we can want for wholesome, healthy, worthwhile things, but if we're attached to that and it's not happening, stress and suffering. And then seeing, okay, if I let go, if the cause of the stress suffering is wanting, then if I let go, relax, release, relinquish, renounce, then there can be ease and peace. Even if the situation is happening, it's still happening, but I'm no longer anguished or distressed by it. Accepting. It is what it is. And I know the fact of things is that all things change in time. So the suffering can end if I let go. And there is a way to that, again, which becomes by seeing things correctly, thinking things in the right way, speaking about things in the right way, behaving, acting in the right way, how I engage my livelihood, right use of effort or energy, mindfulness, meditation, concentration. So the whole of the Buddha's teachings is found within this practice path, and the whole practice path is found within the Four Noble Truths. That's why on the retreat I mentioned that, I think I mentioned it, the Four Noble Truths as a teaching is seen as like the elephant's footprint, because the elephant's footprint can contain all the footprints of all the other animals. So the Four Noble Truths as a teaching contains all of the Buddha's teachings are in those four Noble Truths. So the practical application of this is to be able to see and view and perceive these four perspectives in a way that we engage them in daily life not for suffering more, but for finding liberation in that moment, in that situation, or even ultimately enlightenment. So any thoughts or ideas yourself on a particular perception, perspective, take, view, approach that you might find that you are having that is worthwhile and helpful, or maybe not? Justin?
I find the Four Noble Truths is the doorway. I find the easiest way to access the Buddha's teachings, and setting up that kind of reflective practice to take into any situation. I find it quite interesting that the order that the truths have been presented is not the order of experience. But is the order of then maybe reflecting on that experience. So in the experience of things, I might sort of initiate and might feel the craving or move, there's a movement towards that wanting or grasping, which is more like the second noble truth. And then, coming back to it from a reflective position, it's coming from that. There is this acknowledgement of it. So it's quite interesting that there's kind of two orders within it. The practical experience of, what order things happen when I experience them, and then there's the reflective attitude.
It could also be
is that deliberate?
Well, my take on it is that they're like a prescription. So it's like, there is pain. And so what's the cause of the pain? Well, it's the illness of clinging or grasping. So is it possible for a cure? Yes, this pain can be cured. How do we go about that? Fourth truth, so the practice path. So it's sort of like looking at what's happening with the perspective of we can relieve this. So it's maybe like in a way future focused. There's pain. I acknowledge that. There's a cause. Understand what the cause is. There can be the end of this pain. Healing can occur. Be free from or cured. This needs to be sort of realized. And then the fourth truth, there's the healing process. What we're going to do to bring about the healing or the cure.
And each of those stages can be broken down even further. If we say that there is this pain, it's worth spending some time with, and the practice is there to spend time with that, to understand it, and then it has been understood.
Even like how we view the pain. So like, okay, there's pain there, but how am I viewing it? Is my view causing more pain? Indulging in the pain, identifying with the pain? So even sort of assessing the view or the mind, the mental state that we have towards the pain or the unease or the suffering.
So on the one hand, it's super simple. And then yet, why is it so tricky to kind of grasp? Because the identity is there, the personality is there. So like my pain is really, and my conditioning is that this is my suffering. And there's a definite movement to sort of hold on to this unique experience.
Who would I be if I didn't have this pain or this suffering or this diagnosis? It's my identity even. So even sort of seeing that the egoic self is creating an identity out of the pain and the suffering.
I think with the practice, though, the main realization of practice is that all phenomena are impermanent. So each of us is just an impermanent phenomena, constantly changing. So there actually is no fixed. There's nothing fixed. So that's very freeing, actually. To realize that.
And connecting.
If one's ready to realize that, because some people go, no, I've always had this pain or this suffering, or I've always been depressed, or so that they don't want to realize or see the truth of impermanence, because there's identity is sort of created itself out of identifying with that. That's who I am, and maybe I need to keep that going. I don't want to heal because I want to be me, which may even have secondary gains as well. So insight's really important, to be able to see what one's doing with that pain or suffering, and how much identity is being fed and fueled from it, and the liberation of being able to go, okay, the mind doesn't have to keep on creating an identity of this pain and suffering. When I was working doing my psychology internship at Rockwood and Stafford Hospital, in the pain management center, there was people with chronic pain. Some of them had pain that had it for years and years, and I could see that sometimes they were holding on to their pain and identity in the pain. So I'd sort of ask them, so what are you getting out of this? What's the gain? And they say, well, no, nothing. I'm in pain. Oh, I said, well, go home and think about it. And I find some people would say, well, actually, because I have this pain, then it means that my husband's he does a lot of the stuff that I would otherwise do, and he's always sort of more pleasant to me since I've had this pain the last few years, and so it's like the positive side, and then there was a resistance to sort of potentially not having the pain. Obviously, chronic pain is chronic; it's ongoing, but the psychological suffering can be reduced. So again, seeing where self is making its identity out of, buying into the particular pain and diagnosis, and how that is affecting the person. Conditioned helplessness. But ultimately, to have that full and final liberation and freedom, which is a relief for self as well.
Sometimes, like, in particular with the teachings, it's like I get this, like, it's like of this, like, feeling. I guess it's an insight in a sense where I see cause and effect of all, and I really see that there is no right, no wrong. There's like this phenomena, and it's just all is because was and is, and I can't really put it into words, but it's like this, like, and then it's gone, and it's like it just everything just it is. I don't really know how to put it, but that's like a profound like acceptance of, and then my mind comes back, but like, oh no, but we can't have that happen, and da 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 da. But it's like, and I get it like from hearing the Four Noble Truths, like it's this, I don't know.
So like an insight that occurs.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Beyond the sort of the conceptual mind that wants to sort of interpret or react or add on to it.
Yeah.
Sort of a deeper heart knowing.
But sometimes I wonder as well, like with this idea of acceptance, is it more just like a, not apathy, but just like a, oh, well, everything just is what it is, so I don't actually have to try. And therefore it's like this, kind of a sense, instead of more of a letting, like an acceptance, it's more of a like
resignation.
Yeah.
As opposed to acknowledging, accepting, okay, this is.
Yeah.
Which is more of a wisdom letting go than, say, the resignation, sort of reactive letting go.
Yeah, something curious.
So I do give consideration to the Four Noble Truths as a meditative perception, as a perspective that we can view experience. No matter how great the unease or stress or suffering might be, even if it's just subtle unease, okay, well, let's just notice that's dukkha, subtle dukkha, and then seeing it from those four perspectives, and to so that's where the practice is. More and more moments of mindful practice in those sort of occasions. Doesn't need to be sort of big things to work on, just small things, small moments of mindful awareness. So thanks for coming out tonight. Hopefully you don't get too wet walking down to the car park. The rain's going to be, sounds like it. Was to come sometime. Is it good? Is it bad? It is.
Wet.
It's wet. So see you next time. Thank you.
That's all.
Thanks, Tom.